To lead in a world that never stops evolving, you need insights from those who are driving change. Welcome to Breakthrough Innovations, where we bring together the top leaders and innovators who are reshaping their industries. I'm JL Heather, the Principal Executive Coach at Center, and in each episode I sit down with game-changing executives who share the strategies, insights, and challenges that fuel their success. In the next 20 minutes, you'll gain practical takeaways to drive your own breakthroughs. So if you're ready to stay ahead, join us here on Breakthrough Innovations. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Breakthrough Innovation. With us today is Randy Kane, the founder, CEO, and CIO of Caruso Capital Management, as well as the pastor at Zion Memorial Missionary Baptist Church. Caruso is a majority employee-owned and minority and woman-owned investment firm providing value-added solutions to institutional and high-net-worth clients. Randall has 30 years of institutional money management experience, primarily in the large cap value arena, and is in the top 5% in this asset class. He has experience building teams, working with outsourcing partners, and focusing his organization on delivering customer value in both of his roles. Randy, thank you so much for being here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation, and I'm really happy to have you on the show.
JL, thank you so much for creating a space and making the time. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. So to start off, the question we always start with is just tell us a little bit about your journey and what led to your current roles.
Well, it's interesting because I am bivocational, as you noted. And for me with investing, my first entree into investing, or I guess the way it was introduced to me, was actually when I was graduating college. My great-aunt and great-uncle had put aside a variable life insurance policy for me that had grown to a reasonable amount of money. And I asked my great-aunt, because my great-uncle had transitioned at that time, how did they come to this sum of money? And she told me, well, you had these internships, because I was an engineering student in my undergraduate studies. She said, you worked at these large companies. She said, instead of working for the large companies through investing in their stocks, you can put them to work for you. The light bulb went off, and I said, that's what I want to do. I don't want to work for big companies. Instead, by owning their stocks the right way, I want to put that to work for me. And then through the opportunity for me to go to Harvard Business School to get my MBA, worked at Putnam Investments in fixed income from between my first and second year of business school. And then when I graduated, went to Nations Bank Investment Management in fixed income, and then transitioned to the equity side and really didn't look back. And I found that the value approach to investing through a lot of reading. And so I would say I have many of my vicarious fathers in the industry, so to speak. It really just clicked with me. And I've been able to focus on value investing at a variety of firms and been successful at each juncture. On the pastoral side, it was a bit different. I gave my life to Christ when I was 23. And in me doing so, I grew gradually in becoming a better Christian, so to speak, to the point where at a church we were attending down in Georgia, I was teaching Sunday school, teaching Bible study, vacation Bible school and the like, and received what some call the call. And the call was for me not just to teach about Christ, it was to begin to preach. And so I accepted the call of the ministry in 2006, got licensed and ordained in 2007, got additional education in 2015 at Hood Theological Seminary with my Master of Divinity degree. And last year, got my Doctor of Ministry degree from Duke Divinity School and was called to pastor our current church in 2017. I'm in my 8th year of pastoring. So as I like to say, I'm able to bring value to people's lives from the portfolio and from the pulpit.
I like it. Alliteration always carries the day. So that works out well. I know. So I was looking at your LinkedIn and we talked about this a little bit before the show. Yeah. You've mentioned this belief that it's better to add value to others' lives rather than, the reverse.
Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't agree more. That resonates incredibly well with me. I'm curious how that comes to life and drives innovation in adaptation, all that in either of your roles or both your roles.
Certainly. Well, the scripture says it's better to give than to receive. And I operate from the perspective of any space or place I step into, I want to make sure it's better than how I entered it. And I want to make sure that I leave more behind than what I take away from it. And from the investing side, JL, when I started managing money back in 97, I realized that there are two sides to this industry. There's the managing of the money, and then there's the collection of the fees. It's like some would say, well, they're the same. It's really, really not. In some cases, you have institutions that are built around trying to generate as much revenue as they can by garnering as many fees as they can. But when you look at the bottom line value add, sometimes it can be questionable. I made the decision that if I couldn't outperform in my asset class, I would find something else to do. The life was just too short. And I've been blessed to be able to do that, to outperform over time. So net of fees, I've been able to generate alpha, so to speak. And so been thankful to do that, but also wanting to do it within a wide variety of arenas. We manage money for institutions as well as for individuals. And so there's the opportunity to, speak to someone in the boardroom as well as impact a person, who's on the street. In terms of on the pastoring side, I would say for me, being a student, a lifelong student in the Word of God and getting additional education, I didn't do it so some people, I say, would call me Reverend or call me Reverend Doctor JL. It was really so that I could be better equipped at serving others. Jesus the Christ was the greatest servant leader according to our faith that's ever lived, and I always am going to fall short, but his standard is the one that I'm pursuing. And so whatever I do, I'm just trying to make sure that I add the most value to other people's lives.
Mm. Well, I really like that concept of the lifelong learner. One of the things I always tell my kids, they both used to take piano lessons. Everyone wants to master the piano, but that's an unattainable goal. You'll never get there because there's always more to learn.
Been down that
And it's
route.
about the journey, right? And what I hear you saying is this idea of putting others first, people first, putting
Yes.
humans at the center of what you do. And that life journey of learning really helps you stay, I don't know, for lack of a better term, relevant and
Yeah.
impactful in people's
Yeah.
lives.
Let me give you an example of that, JL. I'll make it brief. When COVID hit here in North Carolina, Governor Roy Cooper shut down, it was in March of 2020, shut the state down, mandated for people, shelter at home. And I was pastoring. I was at that time, I'm in my third year of pastoring a church. And a lot of pastors chose to, just shut the churches down. They started, if they did anything to stay connected, they were recording sermons and things from their studies or things of that nature. And I felt really moved to make sure that since the people couldn't come to the sanctuary, that they still needed that experience. And so made the decision to have my preaching, my worship service to a very different degree. I'm still in the sanctuary so that people could at least see the sanctuary they couldn't come into. But something else I did, JL, was prior to that time, I was preaching in robes and preaching in suits. And it just dawned on me, the people need to know I know what time it is. The world has changed. So instead of preaching in robes and suits, I preached in t-shirts and in hoodies with Christian messages on them to make myself a brand, so it wasn't just what they were audibly hearing or seeing me preach, but even what they could see across my chest to affirm that, hey, this is a difficult, tough time, but we're going to make it through. And I'm here as your pastor to help to guide you through it. It would have been easier for me to do something else, but I didn't want to take the easy path. I wanted to do what was best for the people.
Oh, I love that. George Bernard Shaw has a quote. I'm going to see if I can get it right here. The worst part about communication is the illusion that it happened. It's not exactly right, but it's somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah.
And what I hear you saying is, in either role, you have a message to deliver.
Yeah.
It can be delivered far more effectively by meeting people where they are.
There you go.
Rather than trying to speak from where you are.
There you go. I'll say, just paraphrasing that a bit, there's a significant difference between hearing and listening.
Yeah.
Hearing is physical. It's like, can you hear? Do you hear me? Yes. And then listening requires you to be active to say, okay, I heard you, but now do I understand before we even get to the point of agreement? And so what I strive to do for me to others is to listen more so than just to hear, but also in conversation as best as I can to help others, hopefully to be able to listen to me rather than just hear me.
Yeah. I mean, listening is one of the most basic human-centered activities you can do. Right.
Absolutely.
That's one of the best gifts you can give someone is to make sure they're actually heard.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's fantastic. So keeping that all in mind, I know the other thing that I pulled out of your LinkedIn profile that I thought was interesting was you talked about building teams, both internally and externally. So
Yeah.
building on the conversation we've had, how does
Mhm.
that apply to building those teams and helping make sure you have people and teams that keep your organizations on either side of the roles
Yeah.
moving forward and avoid complacency?
Yeah. One of the classes that I took at Duke Divinity School under L. Gregory Jones, who's now the president at Belmont University in Nashville, was about a kind of strategic approach to ministry and he pushed very hard on a concept called tradition to innovation. Basically, taking the best of what has happened, but not letting it basically keep you from making progress and moving forward, and not being afraid of the progress to move forward that may challenge your current tradition. And that's something that for me organizationally has been very important. We have a very tight-knit team at Caruso. We're a total of 4, but through outsourced partners and relationship, we have the capacity of additional 10 to say 15 people.
Right.
That's something that was not a part of the other organizations that I had, where a great deal was done in-house. And so being able to leverage and to scale an organization in a cost-effective fashion is a challenge, but through the utilization of what we have via technology and things of that nature, we can do it. But also, one of the concepts that I really strive to impart and make impactful is that everyone has something to contribute. And so in building out an organization at Caruso, everyone has day one equity. So we're all owners in the company. Nobody comes to work to make Randy Kane rich. We're trying to build something together. But also in how I run the firm, I'm the majority shareholder. I own the largest percentage of the equity in the firm. I intentionally listen. I just hear. I listen to our people because they may have ideas that really don't mesh with my own. And that doesn't mean it is bad because it didn't come out of my head. It's like to say, my one head in life is Jesus Christ. Everyone else, I think, can be leaders in their own respect. For example, JL, we connected via LinkedIn. When I was starting Caruso, I was not a social media person, but one of my partners, Jasmine Gay, I'll give her that credit. She told me, you're going to get on LinkedIn. She didn't ask me. She told me, you are getting on LinkedIn. And
Nice.
now I've been blessed to, have connections with hundreds of people that I would not have had if I had not gotten onto that platform. And so for me, someone who's not a social media person has been able to leverage social media to be a connector in a wide variety of ways. And then within the church, one of the things that I've imparted to my congregation prior to becoming pastor was I am bivocational, and I'm also active in my community. Beyond leading Caruso and leading my church, I also am on 8 boards. And of those 8 boards, on 3 of them, I'm either the chair, co-chair, or the president.
Wow.
And it's like, well, how do you do all that? I'm like, well, one, you recognize the potential that people have to lead. You encourage them in that, and then you delegate. And one of the things is you make sure you don't do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
You help them to do it, but you don't do other people's jobs. And as I've said to people, what you'll find is either someone in the job will change, or you got to change the person who's in the job.
Right.
But if there's a job to be done by an individual, you've got to have the opportunity for them to walk in their authority. And that authority, JL, is what I like to describe in 3 words. It's availability. You got to show up. It's responsibility. When you show up, you got to be able to do something. And then the third part is accountability. When things go well, get your accolades. When things don't go well, get your stuff together and make sure that we can keep moving forward the right way. And so that allows for you to bring in the innovation from other people to make sure that they're thinkers as well. And the last little example I'll tie in is when I became pastor, I told the congregation, I said, I am pastor, I'm not your garbage man. You don't get to come to the pastor's study, drop off your problems, and then leave. So if you say that something is a problem, bring me at least 2 solutions. If you don't have any solutions, is it a problem or is it a preference? I'm here to help solve some problems, but I'm not here to meet your preferences. Yeah. And that's really kept some stuff off my plate, but also helped some other people to have the opportunity to enlarge their imagination to walk more in their leadership as well.
Well, I love that. Like when we talk to leaders, like a lot of what we talk about is how are you establishing your boundaries?
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have those, and they're healthy boundaries that empower other people, which is fantastic. Those are the best kind. The other thing I love that you talked about is delegation. I think a lot of people look at delegation as I'm going to give you a task to do. And that's not the way you're approaching it, right?
Yeah.
You're saying, I'm going to give you the authority to accomplish a goal.
There you go.
Right. And I think that's where the magic comes in.
Yeah.
If you're handing that authority away, that means you're freeing yourself up, both physically, mentally, emotionally, to go and devote energy to other different priorities. I won't even say bigger priorities because they may not be.
Right.
And I think that's the magic that really allows someone like you to spread your influence across boards, companies, and other organizations.
And I think key within that jail also is very simple. When someone tells you that you're supposed to get something done, it doesn't mean you're the one who has to do everything.
Right.
Get the right people around you and help others to share the burden, and you can able to accomplish more. And as you were saying, it helps to enlarge the capacity of everyone. sometimes that gets lost when people are very task oriented and become very myopic in terms of how they're supposed to get things done.
Yeah. I can't remember who said it now. It's the idea that you hire really smart people and get out of their way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to find a better approach than that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So Randy, before we wrap up, I want to make sure people have an opportunity to connect with you, learn more about what you do, and
Yeah.
maybe even find some opportunities to collaborate. So where can they connect with you?
Well, they can connect with me on LinkedIn. If they reach out to me, I'm pretty good about reaching back. They can also learn about Caruso from our website, which is carusocapital.com, which is KERUSSOCAPITAL.com. And so if you reach out through one of those two venues, it's very easy to connect with me.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, Randy, this has been an absolutely fantastic conversation, and I'm really grateful we had the opportunity to talk. And then hopefully we have some time to talk after this as well. I do want to thank everyone who's made it to the end of this episode for listening all the way. If this brought you value, please leave a review, have a like, share it with your friends, your family, your professional network. It means a lot to us. It's really important, though, as you listen to this, to take one actionable insight out from today's conversation, apply it, and then let us know how it goes, because we really like to hear about your progress. Other than that, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you all next time on Breakthrough Innovation.